Chapter 29. Dark Forest with Hagrid and Horrible Nightmare. Later on that evening. Me, Harry, Ron, and Hermione had been walking and talking with Hagrid in the dark forest. It always felt great to hang out and be around Hagrid. He's a good friend to us all, and even tries to look after us all. In regards to me, I felt really bad at first because of what I went through and how guilty and bad Hagrid must have felt after everything. But we both realized that I needed to know sooner or later and that it was okay. I guess I just didn't really know how to take all of what I had known, found out, and what was already going on. I now know to completely talk things out with an adult, especially if I need to, even if I feel like I didn't want to, instead of resorting to bad things. Anyway, while we were walking, Hagrid was looking at each of us as he looked down at me, and I smiled softly as he grinned. I asked, "What is it, Hagrid?" So I remember when I first met you all. Biggest bunch of misfits I've ever set eyes on. Always reminded me of myself a little. And here we all are, 4 years later. We're still a bunch of misfits, Ron stated as he chuckled. Agreed, I added, giggling. I couldn't help but notice that Harry had started to walk somewhat away from all of us. I wonder why. Hagrid then stated as his tone of voice slowly got happy. Maybe, but we've all got each other. And Harry, of course, soon to be the youngest Triwizard champion that's ever been. Hooray! I smiled as me, Hermione, and even Ron, and even Hagrid too, started to sing and hum the Hogwarts song. Hogwarts, Hogwarts, hardy, waddy, Hogwarts, teach us something, please, whether we be old and bald or young with scabby knees. While we were humming or singing and walking, I noticed Harry seemed farther away, so I started to call out to him to find him. What's the matter, Miranda? Hagrid asked me. Where's Harry? I don't know where he wandered off to. Harry, I shouted. Over here, I faintly heard from behind one of the trees. Hermione and Ron stopped singing to notice what caught me and Hagrid's attention. In an instant, I ran over to see Harry looking back at me as he half-whimpered with his fingers on his scar on his forehead. He looked stunned. Oh, God, I muttered. Harry, what's wrong? What is it? Neither of us said a word as he reacted to me, so I walked closer to see for what he was seeing. There on the ground was Mr. Crouch's body, and he wasn't moving. Oh, my God, I muttered as I held my hands cupped over my mouth in shock. He's dead? What's going on? Hermione muttered as I heard all the footsteps behind us. Bloody hell, I heard from Ron. What happened? Hermione asked in shock. Oh my, I heard exclaim from Hagrid. We need to alert a Dumbledore about this immediately. All of us glanced at each other in pure surprise, wondering what had happened to Mr. Crouch. Not too long after, Harry told me he was going to see Dumbledore to talk to him, while I eventually headed to bed. In the middle of the night. I was in a deep sleep, but had started to toss and turn in bed, having a bad dream or a nightmare of sorts. I can see Harry, Hermione, Ron, and me hiding near a building, while hearing and seeing Severus with Voldemort inside. I'm not sure how he came back alive, but he did. It was really powerful. Professor Dumbledore apparently appeared to be already long gone, and there was a wizarding war. I could hear Severus saying, "The long belongs to you, of course, my lord." They were quiet, but I could also make out what Voldemort was saying. You've been a faithful servant to me, Severus, but I'm the only one who can live. I cannot truly control this wand. You were the one who killed Dumbledore, Severus. I saw Severus backing up as Voldemort directed the snake to kill. I wanted to bust in and yell, no, but Harry quickly held his hand over my mouth and held me back. Then we all watched quietly as the snake launched itself and it started to attack Severus. I wanted to yell, run in there and stop it, but Hermione grabbed my hand as Ron and Harry held on to me. I didn't see Severus move much at all. As soon as Voldemort and the snake left, I ran in there next to his side. His face was swollen and he was bleeding. Harry came beside me and put his hand on his neck to hold his face where the snake struck him. I turned around and saw Hermione and Ron standing in the doorway watching us. Severus started to cry and was telling Harry to take the tears. I knew exactly what that was. Hermione soon gave him something to put them in. A vial, I think. I grabbed Severus's hand. Severus, please don't leave me. Miranda, I said I would protect you, and I have. It's my time. I started to cry as Severus slightly squeezed my hand with what strength he could find. Find your happiness and live the rest of your life. But you're my happiness, Severus. I love you. I've always loved you, and I can't let go. Kiss me, he said softly, with a tear falling down his cheek. I leaned in and softly kissed him on the lips. I felt him kiss back with very little strength that he had left. I pulled back as he said with his dying breath, I've never met a girl like you. If I could have, I would have changed the way I was, just for you. I love you. I responded, still crying, I love you too, Severus, and I always will. I'll never forget you. Severus looked at Harry. Look at me. Harry painfully looked at him as Severus glanced into his eyes and whispered, You have your mother's eyes. I saw his last tear fall down his cheek as he looked at Harry and then at me. Then I felt his hand loose off of mine as Harry and I heard his last breath and saw his face turn to the side. Tears started to stream down my face as I yelled, Severus, no! Severus, please come back. Don't leave me. But it was too late. He was gone. There was nothing we could do. With quick thinking, Hermione gave me something to put Severus's tears in. I think it's memories that Severus wants me to see like Harry. In pure shock and sadness, I turned to Harry and started to cry my eyes out, as I felt him get upset about it too. Harry held me as he knew my heart was breaking into a million pieces. Hermione and Ron crowded around us as Harry shed a few tears. With a loud breath, I immediately woke up as I felt myself shaking, and I was crying, feeling tears staining my face. What was it that I dreamt? Was it real as a glimpse into the future, or something of my fears to scare me? I sat up in bed as I realized it had been very late into the night. I didn't want to wake anyone up or bother Hermione to wake her. So I quickly got up and quietly went down to the common room. With my rope wrapped around me as I held it against me, I kept going out as I started to walk along the hallways. I kept thinking about that dream and I felt myself tear up. Why would I dream of Severus's death like that? Not to mention Voldemort somehow returning and being powerful enough to kill people, including him. Could it possibly become true? I can't bear to lose Severus like that. I gave up as I sat against the wall where I currently was and started to cry with my wand in my hand. A couple minutes later, I sniffled as I saw a light on me. Startled, I looked up and saw that it was just Professor Dumbledore. Relax, dear Miranda. It's only me. Professor, I'm sorry, I muttered, upset, trying to hide that I was crying. Yet, I should have known better, because immediately, without a doubt, he knew and could see right through me. He knew I was crying by seeing my puffy eyes. He asked in concern, Why are you crying and up this late out of bed? Did something happen? I only managed to say shakily, Bad nightmare. Come, let us talk in my office and get you a cup of hot cocoa. Noticing I was shaking, upset and scared, he wrapped his arm comfortably around my shoulders as I walked with him to his office. When he shut the doors and I was sitting comfortably, I watched as he brewed me a cup of hot cocoa and I began to drink it. He didn't bother to ask what happened or what led me to cry in the hallway. Instead, he let me drink what he made for me and sat with me comfortably. I wasn't expecting him to be so kind, but considering I'm not the type to usually be like this in the middle of the night, maybe he wanted to show kindness. Once he could tell that I had calmed down enough to explain, he asked me to tell him about the bad dream I had. So, I told him everything that happened in my dream. When I was finished explaining, his facial expression was hard to tell. I wish I knew why I have dreams like this. It's almost like I can dream of the future or something of that nature. Sir, I don't understand why I keep having these dreams, as if I'm like, I can also see into the future or something. To be honest, Miranda, I'm not sure exactly why you keep having these dreams. It's probably making you confused, isn't it? I nodded my head. A little bit, yeah. But this particular one startled me quite a bit considering, the growing relationship between me and Severus. I can understand why, given things between you both. Alas, recently, Harry had talked to me about certain dreams he was having lately. In fact, he was here hours ago. He did? Yes. I told him that with his dreams, it was best to cast them away, and I, for now, say the same to you. Neither of us knows what the future holds, but I don't want you to worry unless the time comes. If anything bad should seem like it would, I'll gladly talk about it with you. In a way, sir, you're right. I shouldn't let it get to me, but seeing Severus just coldly dying like that was absolutely terrifying. Just then, before either of us could say more, the door opened, and in walked Severus. I watched Professor Dumbledore and I looked at him, and he glanced over at us. Is something wrong? What happened? Dumbledore didn't say anything as if he wanted me to. I glanced at Severus, and flashes of my nightmare got into my mind, which scared me again, and I felt tears growing in my eyes. With immediate reaction, I ran into his arms, stating, "Oh, Severus." I started to cry slightly once more as he hugged me back, and looked up at Professor Dumbledore confused. Severus let me stay in his embrace for a moment before he led me to one of the chairs, and I sat down beside him. Then Professor Dumbledore began to explain what was going on with Severus and the bad dream that I had, and I could sense the slight tension of unspoken words between them both. When Dumbledore was done, he and Severus just stared at each other, almost like they knew something that I didn't. What specifically were they hiding from me? I know they want to keep me safe, but Harry and I have been talking and sensing how things this year just don't seem right at all. I stated in confusion, "Professor Dumbledore, Severus, I'm scared. I can tell that Harry is starting to be as well. But what is going on?" Dumbledore looked at Severus and nodded his head, as neither of them said anything. So, I also stated, "Whether you two want to let Harry or me on in anything or not is your choice, but at the same time, both of us have feared all year that something doesn't feel right. Harry didn't steal anything from Severus's potions and the dreams he's been having in mine. What if all of this we fear will come true? Love, we aren't sure of anything yet, so we can't say the possibility of what is occurring, but I don't want you to start panicking right now. It won't get you anywhere, and it won't do you no good." "I mean, you have a point, Severus, but still." "Miranda?" Professor Dumbledore started as I looked at him. "You don't mean to put you in the dark, nor Harry for that matter. As Severus stated, it won't do any good getting worked up over this. As headmaster, I must protect us all and the students, including you and Harry." "I understand, but—" Severus grabbed my hand. "No buts, love. I swear I'll do all I can to make sure you are safe, no matter what happens. However, it's best if you don't worry too much tonight. We don't know what will happen." Nothing else was said for a few moments until Professor Dumbledore said, "Alas, we still have the tournament to worry about, and that is coming up as well." He glanced a certain look towards Severus. "Just to be on the safe side, Severus, I believe for now it would be best to start protecting Miranda and Harry. Watch them from a distance, as I'll do the same." Severus nodded his head in response as he comfortably held my hand. I asked Dumbledore, clearly concerned, "Sir, is this bad? Should I be worried or warn Harry about anything?" "Miranda, you shouldn't have to worry just yet, but I'm afraid that in the future, things could get bad depending upon on how things go." "What should I do then? Just sit back and wait and hope nothing gets bad or worse?" "For now, Miranda, try not to worry and go about things as you usually do. That is the best I can provide. As I told Harry, we cannot be sure what is actually happening, as the future is unclear. Alas, I'll keep a close eye on things. It's wise if you keep your head high in your studies, cheer on your friends for the final tournament, and spend time with them. There are things you need to know, but all in good time, you'll find out." "Thank you, Professor. I'll try my best." "You're welcome, Miranda. Now, you should try to go back to bed and get some sleep. If you cannot, come back here, and we can both have some more hot chocolate and a chat." "All right, I'll try and go back to sleep." "Good night, Professor." "Good night, Severus." They both said at the same time as I stood up, "Good night, Miranda." Severus pecked my lips softly as a small thing of comfort, and I kissed him back. I smiled kindly at both of them and left his office so that they can both be alone to talk.